Oh boy! Hoo-hoo. My name is Mike Brown, aka ReviewKingMB, and I just got back from the theaters after seeing Mortal Engines. This is a 2018 film. I did see it in IMAX. Oh joy. This movie is directed by Christian Rivers, but you would never know that from watching the trailers and the TV spots, the promotions, because all they've been saying is that from the producer of The Lord of the Rings, the guy who gave you Lord of the Rings. Yeah, we know. But in fact, this might be a blessing for Christian Rivers that nobody knows he directed this movie. We'll get to it. I thought this movie was bad, so bad. Look, was it the worst steaming, stinking pile of crap I've seen all year? No, there's plenty of other films that I have for that. But just yesterday, I was making my list of my best of and worst of. I knew there was a possibility I would add something to each list. There's still a couple of weeks left, but man, I didn't realize that it would be this quick. Mortal Engines, this movie, it's set in the future, a post-apocalyptic future where you see that the world is shit. Some catastrophe happened, so everybody's rummaging around, and you have these young adults who are trying to survive. You haven't seen this plot 1,000 times over the last 5 or 6 years. And that's where I felt like this movie just failed completely, is that I've seen this premise. I've seen this type of premise with these type of characters so many times. I know it's based on, I guess, popular source material, books that I've never read, but I've heard things about. So maybe the books are better. And I feel like I've said that about these movies that are based on these books. I'm trying to be optimistic. Hell, even going into this movie, I heard bad things and I thought the movie didn't look all that great, but I still tried to be optimistic. I still went to go see the damn thing in IMAX. Look, the first sequence where there's a big chase, you see that since the world is crap, these villages and towns are set on these vehicle-like things, wheels, and they travel around and rummage around to grab food and scraps and whatnot. That's how people survive now. So, interesting concept, sure. And the opening action sequence is fairly decent. Hell, the CGI throughout the whole movie is fairly decent, and you have some interesting images here and there. It's really the story. It's really the characters that I did not give a flying F about. It's just, from everybody just being either dull or their backstory being the least interesting thing about them. I know that you want to tell us backstory on some of these characters, but when the backstory you get of them is the least interesting part, our main character, Hester Shaw, is played by Hira Hilma, and she's really the only character that I tried to connect with, I tried to attach myself to. You see her at the beginning, and she's wearing this half mask over her face, and she's sort of kind of a badass, but over time, she gets less and less interesting, and the actress is trying, she is, but the stuff that they have her doing, I just go, why? Why do we have to go down this road? This character, Tom, played by Robert Sheehan, honestly, he just reminded me of a British Justin Long. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's all I kept seeing with this guy. A little annoying at times. Thaddeus Valentine. Great name. I will give him that. That's the villain's name. He's played by Hugo Weaving. Great actor. Great villain, character actor. I mean, you've seen him as a villain in probably so many things, but he's not really giving anything to do. He's just here to be your typical villain. They have these twists and these moments with him that's supposed to be surprising, but I swear, I predicted a lot of the story beats, not just with him, but just in general with this movie. I predicted so much of this like an hour before it happened. And I'm not saying that a predictable story is the worst thing in the world, but when you add the subpar acting, when you add action that I don't really feel engaged in and care about, when you add characters that are written so poorly, the dialogue is so bad at times. It's cringy to hear these characters talk to each other in these ways that are so unbelievable. Other actors, Stephen Lang plays a CGI character, so I assume he just did the voice. The character looks decent, but whatever. Colin Salmon, it was nice to see him in the movie, albeit for like 2 or 3 scenes. But because he was in that TV show Krypton recently, I was glad to see him. And Lila George D'Onofrio, I want to mention her because, one, she's the daughter of Vincent D'Onofrio. I didn't even know his daughter was acting. But 2, her character is supposed to have this big part to her, supposed to have this big connection to Hugo Weaving, and you think she's going to play a big part to it. But honestly, not so much. You could have cut her character completely out and it wouldn't have made a difference. In fact, so many of these characters, so many side characters that we hear about, and it seems like they're going to be the badass, or the movie tries to make them a badass, and then when you meet them, it just doesn't connect. It does nothing really about this movie connects. Halfway decent action, decent visuals isn't enough to get me through a 2-hour film. That story just sucks. I'm sorry, but the story was so uninteresting. I sat here thinking to myself, whatever the budget is for this movie, and I'm sure it's pretty high, Hollywood gives us a film like this that nobody really asked for, that nobody honestly is going to see. I saw this on a Friday night, and there was like 3 other people in the theater. Pathetic. Nobody's going to see this. It's going to bomb hard, but I can't get a damn sequel to Man of Steel. Random, I know, came out of nowhere, but it's been on my mind lately, and so watching this big budgeted movie that I cared nothing about, that's just what I had in my head. I'm going to give this a some old bullshit.
Man, this some old bullshit.
Let me know in the comments below if you have seen Mortal Engines, or have you seen the trailer? Do you give a shit about it? Do you plan on seeing it? Or did you not even know this movie was coming out? Like, comment, subscribe. Later.